imagine being woken up by loud sirens and gunshots. Women screaming and fleeing with their children in their arms. Or seeing tanks passing through your neighborhood. That was my morning when the Taliban came to power in 1996. But the most profound memory of that particular morning was seeing my mother cry profusely in front of us. My mother, who is a beacon of strength, who rarely ever cried. To this day, that particular moment is still engraved in my mind. At the time, I didn't understand what were the consequences of those events. But now I know my mother was mourning her lost youth, her life, her future in Afghanistan. But most importantly, she was terrified of what would happen to her 4 daughters. Because according to the Taliban, women were not supposed to be seen nor heard. It was their form of slow death. After all, this was Taliban's gender apartheid. So at the age of 6, I quickly learned my biggest lesson, that you cannot take your today's freedoms for granted. To be a woman, you have to continuously and consistently fight for your rights. Because, like for Afghan women, it can be taken away just as easily. Now let me ask you to look around and see, what are you wearing today? Just look around, or look your own clothes. You probably didn't even think twice about your choice, right? Now, pay attention to the word choice. Because in the context of Taliban and Afghanistan, simple choice like choosing your own clothes can get you killed. I'm going to share with you my own personal story of late summer in 1996, when me and my mother decided to go to a nearby market to get some groceries. I remember wearing a simple t-shirt and jeans. My mother was wearing her favorite bright shirt and jeans as well. We were holding hands and we were headed to the market. And like in any ordinary market, it was already crowded. People were there, children, women. Everyone was busy buying and selling. I remember seeing bright colors of different fruits and vegetables, spices, textile. And so we were waiting in the line to get some bread. And I recall standing there and excitedly wanted to point something to my mother. And the moment I turn, I see her being beaten. There are already 3 large, intimidating Taliban soldiers holding her, beating her repeatedly with wooden canes at the back of her legs. My whole world just stopped. I didn't hear anything, I couldn't do anything. All I could bear to look at was her eyes. She also didn't do anything. She didn't say anything, but in her eyes I could see strength, determination, resilience, but also pride in being a woman. All of this happened for one sole reason, and that is she refused to wear a burqa. A burqa is a full body covering, and she refused to wear it. Of course, it was terrifying for me to witness my mother being brutalized right in front of me and not being able to do anything. But interestingly enough, to this day, all I could remember is that she stood up to them. She was brave enough to stand up to them. They didn't expect that. They didn't expect a woman to stand up to them like that, with strength. And so they just let us go. But not everyone was as lucky as me and my mother. Because the next day, we heard that in that same market, a woman was shot dead simply for wearing bright shoes. Now you might ask yourself, how's my mother different than any other Afghan woman? Why was she so convinced that what she's doing is right and the Taliban is wrong? Well, my mother grew up in a household that strongly believed in the importance of women's rights, including the power of education. So when she was in Afghanistan as a chief architect and engineer, she would get ready every morning to supervise the construction of various buildings. I remember her loving to wear most fashionable clothes, high heels, red lipstick. She loved her life. She loved her career and work. All her generation of women, my aunt, my mother, all of them loved the life they built in Afghanistan. The reason is because they had the opportunity to receive proper education. They were able to work, to build something, and also being a productive member of society. So when the Taliban came to power and took everything away, all those lives, all those futures, all those dreams, and all those rights just vanished, just like that. And now, the same thing is happening to the millions of Afghan girls. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce to you to another brave woman, just like my mother, who decided to remain in Afghanistan. Her name is Mahbouba Saraj. Mahbouba Saraj is world's most prominent journalist and women's rights activist we currently have in Afghanistan. In 2021, she was named in the Times annual list of 100 most influential people in the world. Currently, she's an executive director of the Afghan Women's Skills Development Center, and she's residing in Afghanistan. The reason is because in 2021, in August, when the Taliban retook Kabul, she refused to flee the country. Instead, she decided to remain and continue fight and protect women's rights in Afghanistan. So I would like to thank her for agreeing to do a short interview with me, because she couldn't come here to Prague. And so I inserted a very short clip. And so I'm asking her, what is the current situation in Afghanistan?
Current situation is extremely bad. The women of Afghanistan are being erased from the picture of this country completely. Mm-hmm. They are disappearing literally. Mm-hmm. And they are not disappearing because people are killing them or they are, putting them in prison. No, not like that. But they are disappearing because their rights in every point of view is not being recognized, is not being respected, and is not given to them. Mm-hmm. Very simple rights like education, they cannot have it. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, their rights to work, they cannot work. And then, of course, their rights to movement, they don't have it because they have to have a mahram. Their rights to freely, to travel, they cannot have it.
As you heard, women's rights are disappearing. Afghan women are being erased. All of their rights are just disappearing. The reason why I wanted you to see her, right now she's in Kabul, I wanted to see this short clip is because despite the risk, she's still there. There are still Afghan women there fighting every day, continuously. Despite what the popular media tells you, they're still there. And they're fighting. Notice that she didn't wear a hijab or head covering. That was intentional. She wanted to send a message to the Taliban that nobody, including them, cannot silence her, that nobody can control her. And even during these hostile situations, she's still willing to work and cooperate with the Taliban government to ensure that they understand the integral role of a woman being in the process of growth and development of any country. So for this reason, I also want you to think that in 2021, when the Kabul fell and the Taliban took over, women continuously started to protest non-stop across the country, in Mazar Sharif, in Herat, also in Kabul as well. Despite protesting peacefully, they were targeted with guns, kidnapped, tortured, and to this day, some are missing. But does that stop them? Of course not. Of course not. They continue to fight, and they started to utilize different social media tools. For instance, in this case, they started to use Twitter hashtag campaigns, such as "Do Not Touch My Clothes" campaigns. This campaign is against the strict dress code that the Taliban imposed on Afghan women. They want to show to the world that this is what Afghan women looks like in their traditional clothes, full of color and patterns and life. This is what they want to show to the world. So they started to use this hashtag. Another effective hashtag is "Let Afghan Girls Learn." "Let Afghan Girls Learn" is a hashtag that catalyzed nationwide protest and international response across the world against the countrywide ban of girls' education. I want to show you a picture of a first day of school in Kabul University. According to the Taliban, this was done voluntarily. They came voluntarily dressed like that. What do you think? We know exactly what happens when you disagree with the Taliban. So do you think this was done voluntarily? Is this the image that Afghan women want to see? For the world to see? Now let me ask you a more important question. Is there hope for Afghan women? Can we expect them to finally achieve the freedom they want? So let me ask Mahbouba Siraj to answer that for you.
It's a very important question, it really is. And in my mind, if there is no hope, then there is nothing. Then why are we doing what we are doing? You know, hope is something that is something that is mine. Nobody can take that away from me. And I have to have it in order to get up in the morning, to start my day, continue my day, do the work that I'm doing, and be hopeful that one day Afghanistan is going to be the kind of a country that I want it to be. So maybe I might not see it. I don't think I will, but then you will see it. And then your children will see it. And then, so that's important. And it's okay if I cannot see it, or if I won't see it. But hope is something that I always have, and I will always have. Without it, I don't think I can live one day. So hope is mine, and nobody takes that away from me.
Exactly. So my belief is that when you face with violent repressors, you should never give up protecting your rights. As simple as it sounds, human rights or women's rights matter. They are important. As you heard during the interview, Taliban is trying to erase Afghan women. But is that even realistic? When even in Quran it says, "The heaven lies beneath the feet of your mother, a woman." So, we have all the examples of Afghan women teaching us these lessons, teaching us that we can face the impossibles. If they can do it, we can do it too. So my plea is to please not forget Afghan women fight for their freedom.